There is a red and angry world. Red things happen there. The world eats your wife, eats your friends, eats all of the things that make you human, and you become a monster. So yeah, that's exactly on the back of Saga of Swamp Thing Book 1. So never mind me, my name is just Cedric, and this is Reviews from the Six. Today I am bringing you my impression of the Saga of the Swamp Thing Book 1. And kind of like what I just read, I never knew this about Swamp Thing. That Swamp Thing isn't a man, he is a plant that thinks he's a man, or he's a plant that has the man's memories. So first things first, I actually picked this up. I was out at Bookman's and I said, you know what? I saw the Watchmen on there, which I own Watchmen as well, and I'm familiar with Alan Moore. So I said, okay, let me go ahead and pick this up. And I know Swamp Thing is on DC, or the DC app. I tried to watch a couple episodes, really didn't get into it. But as a child, I absolutely loved Swamp Thing, from the toys to the shirts. Even now, like, I have Injustice 2 or Injustice God Among Us on Xbox, and I play as Swamp Thing. He was the first character I leveled up, maxed out at 20 at that time. Now, like, the levels is outrageous, but maxed out at 20. So of course I had to pick this up, and even though it's by Vertigo, I don't like too many of Vertigo stuff, of DC Vertigo, besides I believe it's Transmetropolitan. I was like, okay-ish, so I got it. And when I got it, the first thing I noticed in this book is that it's about humanity, right? It's about finding yourself and figuring out who you are. Along with that, they have things like, what is it? The gas house syndrome, or gaslighting, something like that, but it involves, nature and the oxygen and things of that nature. How everything comes into play. The ecosystem, there you go. Everything plays with each other. Like the spider eats the fly, that eats the spider. It's kind of like that, where nature turns on man, though, in this instance. And when nature turns on man, what do you do? What can you do, right? We actually live on this earth, and everything has came from this earth. So you're going against a creature or a villain, not Swamp Thing. This is totally separate, but you're going against a villain who is of this world and of nature, which we live on. And we're like, what, 80% nature? Like, we're water and dust and lime and all that good stuff, right? So how do you beat something like that? The only way you beat something like that is by finding something similar to that, and that is Swamp Thing. So a little backstory on Swamp Thing, without giving out any spoilers here, is that he was a scientist. He was in his lab one day in the swamp doing tests on the vegetation, I believe, or doing swamp on the algae, or doing tests on the algae. An explosion went off. He was set on fire. He jumped into the swamp. And when he jumped into the swamp, he emerged as the Swamp Thing. So like I said, unbeknownst to me while I'm reading this saga here, is that he's actually vegetation with the memories of the scientist. So long story short, there was a chemical reaction with whatever he had in the lab. It mixed in the water in the swamp and everything like that, and it kind of brought life to the vegetation. And throughout the book, you kind of, it's kind of sad in a way, because you see that he's fighting himself constantly. Like, he doesn't know who he is. And then when he has a good idea on who he is, he changes his mind. And it's like, okay, we're no longer that. I want to be this. No, we're not that. I want to be that. But that, you can't feel. This, you can't love. This, you can't think. So as he's going back and forth with himself, like, okay, am I man? Am I vegetation? Or am I God? Within that, he finds his humanity, because it's like, you know what? I'm a living, breathing thing. And that's what we all are, right? We're all sentient in some way. Even though it's vegetation or plant life or an animal, we have feelings, we have connections, we have thoughts. Experiences make up our lives. And that's kind of what this was, right? Where his experience as a scientist kind of made him intrigued with what was going on in the swamp. However, the things that are going on in the swamp are very dangerous and hidden from man. So one of the things, to piggyback off that, one of the things that I like so much about this book is that they're explaining how more advanced man comes, the more we push back nature. So now you got things where, take wolves, for example, or bears, right? You start building home and neighborhoods in the woods. Where are these bears going to go? Eventually, they're going to go into the mountains. Instead of a cave, they're going to go into a mountain. And in the mountains, that's where, you know, your goats, your sheep, things like that live, your lions. So now the bear is out of his norm, and he's catching diseases that it has never had before or have encountered, but because he's around new civilization, new animals, it's a different game for them. And I kind of love that aspect of this book here. It was just explaining to you your humanity. It even lets you know about purpose. I kind of found purpose reading this book. It had me thinking, okay, who am I? What am I? There's situations in here where, you know, of course, his girlfriend, where he's trying to tell her, like, look, I'm not that, baby. Yeah, I love you. I know the good times we had, but I'm not that. And then vice versa, where she's like, I love you, but I don't know if I can love this thing, but I can love what's in this thing. I know you're not human, but you still have the thoughts and the memories. I love that. So you are somewhat him. And it just gets to the point to where you see that even though you're a man, if you had control of nature, what would you do with it? And vice versa. So he has an arch nemesis in here, who's pretty much plant life himself. However, he has this spray that he sprays on himself, and he kind of covers himself, so you can't even see that he's a plant. He just looks like a human. You also have the Justice League in here as well, or Justice Society in here as well. I mean, there's just so many good things. And one thing that I didn't know about Swamp Thing, or the book itself, is that it does happen in the swamp, but you have to remember, there's a lot of things hidden from man that we don't know, right? Take Bigfoot, for example. We don't know if Bigfoot is real or fake. But guess what? If it is real, it is hidden to where we can't see it and we can't find it. There's so many mysteries to this world, right? The Loch Ness Monster, you know, dinosaurs. I mean, there's just so much. And reading this book, you're like, yo, we are living on an earth, and it has its own intelligence and its own inhabitants, and then we came, right? Man was made. Now, since man was made, what is man's purpose here? What does man do? Man starts destroying nature, and nature starts fighting back. And I absolutely love that aspect of the story. But with that being said, I don't want to give too many spoilers out, but that was my impression of this novel here. I can't wait to do a full review on it. But you let me know, what did you think about Swamp Thing? Is Swamp Thing one of your favorite characters? Are you going to read Swamp Thing anymore? Or, yeah, are you going to read Swamp Thing after this? What about Alan Moore? What is your favorite book from Alan Moore? Have you watched The Watchmen? Did you enjoy the Swamp Thing on DC streaming app? Let me know these things, y'all. But, you know, it's YouTube, and you made it this far. So what you're going to do for your boy is set that like for the algorithm. You're going to comment and leave like I said, leave an answer from me from those questions. So therefore, we can get some communication going on, because I love to talk to you guys, and I love for when you guys talk to me as well. Also, make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss any content that be released. You're the first one that gets it, and your vibe attracts your tribe. So make sure you subscribe. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything either. And make sure you share this video on any and all platforms, and to anyone that you think this would be useful for. With that being said, love, peace, and blessings.